Hello, everyone. It's September. It's the it's my most favorite month of the year. It's like not only because it's my birth month, but in the Philippines, it's Christmas. That's when we saw like I think people in the Philippines will tell you that as soon as the 1st of September so like comes, there'll be Christmas songs playing everywhere, like everywhere you go in the Philippines. But anyways, it's Sunday once again. It's the first Sunday of the month. It's we're sort of like early. It's still 2 minutes before 2 o'clock, but I thought we're gonna start early so we can talk about lots of things as well. I am really excited. Well, sorry, it's nearly 9 o'clock in Manila. I hope you're still up watching Asta Chama. And like I said, I am really excited about today's guest. When I posted it online, the feedback I got from people are just absolutely amazing. Even Dave Haslam commented on it, saying that it's exciting. I mean, that's the first time that Dave Haslam actually sort of like commented on one of my sort of like podcasts. So I am really pleased that my guest said yes to Asta Chuma. And what a start, to this month, to the month of September. Um, you know, People have said that he's like the best of the best. So, and my friend even said so like he's the Don. So let me bring him on now, my dear friends. Please welcome Donald Johnson. Yay!
Hello. Hi.
Hello,
Hi.
Dojo.
Hello.
You're the Dawn. My friend Erica Fabay from America, she said that
Mm.
you are the best. And before we came on live, I asked you, what should I call you? Because it's like, do I call you Don Johnson? Because it's like whenever it's like Don Johnson, it's like Miami Vice, isn't
Correct. That's why we yes. I have to live with that. I'm sure he does as well.
it? So I think Dojo is the best because that's like
Okay. Yeah, that differentiates us. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. I don't think he'll be called Dojo anyway.
No.
So before we actually do say ask you about things, I just want to make it clear that you're not related to Denise Johnson,
No,
are you?
not
No,
related to
no,
Denise. No, no.
not related. Yeah, I really miss Denise. I mean, such
We
a
do. That's thinking about it this morning.
yeah,
I do I do this little thing called that I've just started doing myself where I'm trying to shine a light on other things that are kind of happening, and I called it "Can't Get Enough," and it that title just reminds me of Denise because I was trying to remember the singer. "I can't get enough of your love."
yeah,
I
yeah,
really, yeah, yeah, but Denise was into that as well. She was into a rock as well as everything else, and that's why I
yeah.
decided to call it that. It reminds me of Denise. So,
Yeah. Well, I remember because she was very active on Twitter. And
yes,
yeah, she was. I remember I posted about Gladys Knight. I was listening, so like the best of Gladys Knight. And she
yeah,
actually loved it and said, so like put her hearts because she loves putting love hearts as well because
yeah.
I do too. So, anyways,
Blue
yeah.
love hearts. She used to put blue love hearts all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for Manchester
Well,
City, her favourite team.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, in the introduction, when I did the guest announcement post, I mean, everyone was just really pleased that you're
Okay.
guesting on Ask the Drummer. So,
Mhm. Thank
I
you.
really can't thank you enough. But anyways, so welcome to Ask the Drummer.
Hmm.
Episode 93 is all about you, Donald Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have read and also I have watched the ACR documentary, the 2022
Hmm.
documentary, before 1982 was released.
Hmm.
So I know that you're from Wythenshawe. So
Yeah.
were you born in Wythenshawe?
No, I was born in Another part of Manchester. I came from um, not far from. Do you know where the Apollo is?
Yeah, yeah,
The Apollo in
Ardwick.
Manchester, for
Yeah,
Ardwick. From
Ardwick.
there,
Yeah,
yeah, from that
yeah.
way, yeah. I was born and used to live on a street called Mawson Street. It's gone now. Mawson Street. Back in the old days, yes, that's where I'm from, Ardwick. And I believe Johnny Marr's from Ardwick as well.
All right. So you're born and bred in Manchester. You're a proper monk.
Yes, for
Yes.
my sins.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when I moved here in 1996, I remember
Uh-huh.
sort of like Wythenshawe as having sort of like a reputation of being rough, like a rough place.
It's tough. It's just as it's about as tough as anywhere else. I mean, the Bronx is tough. Charlton's tough. You can find tough places anywhere. It's yeah.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way: you have to keep your wits about you.
So, what was it like when you were growing up? And because you moved from Ardwick to Wythenshawe, like at what age?
Well, no, I moved from. Give you the chronology. I moved from Ardwick to Levenshulme, then moved to Wythenshawe. Yeah, I moved from
Oh,
there.
right.
So yeah, so it'd probably be about 8 years old or something, I think, when I moved to Wythenshawe, something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Levenshulme
yeah,
as well. So
yeah,
you lived in oh wow. So
yeah.
what was sort of like you're very much sort of like close to the city centre. So what was Manchester like at the time when you were growing up?
At what age? Because I couldn't have gone to
Maybe
Manchester at
sort of
those
like when you
ages.
were I think the best one would be sort of like when you were a teenager, like music wise. What was it? What was what was it sort of like when it comes to
Yeah,
music?
you don't forget, I'm quite old. Um, so growing up, well, I grew up around a lot of things. Probably, well, the best musical. Yeah, I mean, for me, it was more. Trying to think now because there's so many different things that have happened. I was kind of into all kinds of things because I was learning at an early age, probably 12, 13. I was learning the drums, so I was trying to get into all kinds of different music to understand how the drums work within all kind of music, from everything to classical to I don't know Mark Bolan. So I was a
Yeah.
big kind of glam fan, a big funk fan, a big um, pop fan. I was listening to just all sorts of things at that time. So yeah, those would have been the early days of going to concerts. I wouldn't I didn't kind of hang out in Manchester. If you talk about my teens now, that was more when I was in my twenties. But in my teens, I used to pretty much stay in and amongst where I was in and around Wythenshawe and that kind of thing. I
Yeah.
didn't uh, I didn't get out much because to be frank, I was studying very hard at learning drums.
Well, I've you always been into music, and I know that I checked Discogs, and your Discogs entry said that you're the brother of
Yep,
um like I can't remember the names now. But yeah, you've got two brothers who are bass players.
correct. Three brothers who were bass players. Yep,
Oh, three brothers.
yep,
Oh wow. So you're from
yep.
a musical family then.
Pretty much. My younger brother Derek is a bass player, really good bass player. He's played with Swing Out Sister. My two older brothers are in different versions of a band called Sweet Sensation.
Oh
My older
wow.
brother was in that band right from the very beginning in the 60s, if I remember correctly, the late 60s when that kind of started. And he trained my middle brother, if you like, to Barry, to take over his place. So he took over his place in that band then, and a few years later they had a major number one hit with "Sad Sweet Dreamer."
Oh wow. So
Mhm.
they're already famous and you were just sort of like starting out. But why they're all bass players, so why did you choose the drum? What got you into sort of like drumming?
It was my older brother Keith who saw something in me that I didn't see. He was I was one of those kids that was full of energy all the time, literally bouncing off the walls everywhere. And the thing, my brother Keith recognized this and thought, I've got to find something that he can focus on, that he can get his teeth into and kind of calm him down. So one day, he went out and just bought me a drum kit from someone in Marple. Funny enough, a second-hand drum kit in
Oh,
Marple. Yeah, and remember, I didn't ask for this and didn't want this. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Anyway, he brought the kit in, showed me some very, very basic things, gave me a couple of records and things to listen to, and off I went.
oh, did you have proper lessons?
Oh, that was years and years later. Yeah, a lot longer, years later. Yeah,
Oh, so you just started sort of like listening to the records and then just copying and
absolutely.
doing.
Learning by ear, which was probably one of the best musical things I think I've ever done. Being able to listen to the records and decipher how someone's doing something. See, with other instruments, you get a clue because you get the chords. So if you pick up the chords, you can understand that. But with drums, there's no chords, so you have to imagine how he's moving around on the kit and how he's
Yeah,
actually doing
yeah,
something. So that takes a lot of um, concerted listening and focus to do it, which you have to develop, and you have to be, like I say to most people, if you want to get involved with something, get obsessed with it. Yeah, fall in love with it, then get obsessed with it, and that's what I did. I
oh
fell
yeah,
in love with the whole uh, thing as far as drums are concerned, and still to this day, the studying aspect of being able to focus yourself and going and learning something.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had
Mm.
guest on Ask the Drummer before, and he's into reading notes.
Yeah,
So there
right.
is actually sort of like you can actually read notes and do it so like in your drums and not just by
Yeah,
hearing it. So,
yeah. So I learned that way around as well, but I prefer to do it by ear because
yeah, yeah,
one of the I like the reading aspect because the reading aspect teaches you a lot of discipline in and around things. Yeah, that gives you a focused discipline. But what I like about doing it by ear is it
yeah,
means you have the chance to use your own expression within what's going on. Yeah, you can
yeah,
express
yeah,
yourself by hearing it and putting your feel, your touch, your energy into what's going on. When you've got the notes have a set value, so you have to play to that set value.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Well, I have seen you play bass as well. You're
Yeah.
also an amazing bass player, but I am glad that you actually more, got more into drumming than
Well,
the bass.
I actually don't know if I don't know if I'm a bass player that plays drums or a drummer that likes playing bass. I'm confused with that one sometimes.
Well, I was all like thinking, I mean, any member of a certain ratio could actually be a potential guest on Ask the Drummer because Martin Moscrop also plays drums. And
Martin
I
Mosco's a
believe,
great drummer. Yeah,
yeah, and I
he's a
believe
great drummer.
that,
He's got a feel that's like no other. He plays like, if I was going to put, um, he reminds me of Bernard Purdie, who used to play with Al Green. The way he can play shuffle and just sit just that fraction behind the beat, which isn't
oh,
easy. I think, yeah,
yeah,
that's Martin's style. I'm kind of on it and fractionally above it in sometimes. Martin can sit just right behind it, really, really good. That's why I
yeah.
like watching him and like his interpretation of drums.
And I believe the two original members of a certain ratios are like Peter Terrell, and they were also like in percussion, doing percussion as well.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, they love
yeah,
percussion. Simon
yeah,
and Peter, yeah, big percussionists. We've all played some form of percussion.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's a prerequisite to be in a certain ratio that you've got the
What about jazz? Yeah. What about jazz
yeah,
cat?
yeah. Jez plays percussion. I've actually got film of Jez in France playing the drums.
Really?
Yeah, which is
Oh
super
wow!
rare. Which is super, super rare. I don't know if I'll ever let it out, but yeah, I've got him actually playing the drums in France quite a few years
Oh
ago.
wow! Because that is
Mm.
so like a really typical a certain ratio, isn't it? So like band members swapping instruments, and they
Yeah,
will,
our
yeah,
thing is all about when we kind of get bored and we want a different sound, we just change over. Someone else does something, and automatically you get that new um, invigoration of energy because
yeah,
it's coming from another perspective. So like if I come off the kit and Martin plays the kit and then I play the bass or something else, automatically it feels completely different. And
yeah,
there's a tone that's set, and we're lucky enough to recognize when that happens and we kind of go with it. We don't fight against it.
yeah. Well, the only time I actually saw someone sort of like or a band do the same thing is like Cold Water Swimmers when Selena
Okay.
and Carrie
Yep.
sort of like changed towards
Yep.
the end.
Yep.
Carrie will play the drums and Selena will
Yep.
sort of like do the bass. So
Yep.
was a certain ratio your first band, or did you sort of like try and form a band with your brothers? Because coming from a
No.
musical family, like
No, 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 no. That's never been on the cards. No.
no,
As much as people think it'd be fantastic, but not in any bad way. Just because we're quite diverse ourselves. My brothers play different instruments as well. Some of them are drummers. Um, So we've just never thought about doing things like that. When I was a kid and getting into it, I just wanted to play with as many different people as possible. I never thought of I was never really thinking about the concept of bands until a certain ratio came along. I was
oh,
I was I, yeah, because I was learning, and I joined certain ratio in '79, and I probably picked up the drums when I was what 72, somewhere like that, 71, 72. So
and
it's
you
that
weren't in a
old.
band. You weren't in a band
Yeah.
then, even though you're already learning
No,
how to play the
no,
drum.
no. No. I was just playing with different sets of people. I wasn't in a band of any description, really. I was just learning how to do what I do.
Oh
And then a
wow,
certain ratio came along, and that's the first time I really thought about being in what I would call a structured element of a band.
yeah. Well, I was all like thinking when I was doing this script last night that it could have
Mhm.
been sort of like the Jackson Five or something, maybe.
With all of us singing and
Yeah, the
playing and dancing and
Johnsons.
doing the whole thing. Yeah, the Johnson Five.
The Johnsons.
Yeah.
Or the Bee Gees, because I thought there were only like three of you. I didn't realize there's
Yep.
actually four brothers. Yeah, it could have been the
Yep.
Bee Gees as well.
Yeah. There is.
Well, yeah, a certain ratio, according to Wikipedia, is the origin is Flixton.
No,
Who's
that's
who's from
we
Flixton?
that's wrong, and we love leaving it wrong on purpose because when people quote that, we know exactly where to get it from.
Oh,
So that's why we leave it like that without changing it, without doing anything, so we know who's been looking at Wikipedia. No, it Simon was from Flixton, the singer from a while back,
right.
Simon something. Yeah, Simon is from Flixton. Jez was from Prestwich. Martin, where's Martin? Martin was Hume then, in and around
Yeah,
Hume. Martin and Pete were from Hume, and I was from Wythenshawe. So it's from,
it's not
you know,
really.
no, no.
Because when I saw it, I thought, I wonder who's from Flixton. Because I know that you're sort of like from Wythenshawe or something.
Uh, the nearest I could come to is where's Morrissey? Morrissey's from Stretford.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, and Mick
Yeah,
Hucknall used to live in Stretford. So
well, I've also read that they didn't have a drummer, so a certain ratio were already sort of like formed, but they didn't have a drummer for like a year or something. So,
yes,
how
correct.
did you join or when? Well, you said 1979 when you joined them.
Yeah, yes,
How
yes.
did you get into meeting all the band members of a certain ratio? Because they were already
Well,
sort of like a band, weren't they?
yeah, they were established. They'd already done a single, All Night Party on Factory, so they were established as
Yeah.
as artists and on a record label. We had a mutual friend who was in another band, Phil Tolman, and he was friends with Tony. He knew Tony Wilson. Yeah.
Oh,
And Tony casually one day mentioned the fact that he's looking for a drummer, to be a part of this. And obviously, my mate Phil said, "I think I've got exactly the guy for you." And then so Phil told Tony about me, and then Tony came to my house straight after he'd done his TV show
so it
on
goes.
no Granada Reports. Granada
Oh,
Reports was
okay, yeah,
the earlier one.
yeah.
And I can remember now. You've got to remember these were the days pre-video and everything. There was a knock on the door, tap tap tap. I opened the door. Well, I didn't open the door. My wife opened the door and just stared at this face, which was Tony, because we didn't know him then. So now remember, she's just seen him half an hour ago on the TV. Yeah, and he stood at our front door, and she calls me. She says, "Donald, I think there's someone here to see you." So I go to the front door as well, a little bit stunned, like, "Whoa, what are you doing here?" He said, "Oh, blah blah blah." Anyway, we went into my kitchen. He told me about the band, told me about what we wanted to do, where the next rehearsal was, and I just agreed to do the next rehearsal, go meet them, go everything. And it was only about last year that I realised I agreed to all this without hearing any music.
Oh,
So I went along to a certain ratio practice session with
yeah,
no music. The guy said, "What do you want to play?" I just said, "Look, you play and I'll follow you. Just go ahead." And that's how we just gelled. Again, remember
what?
what I was saying earlier on about doing things from ear and listening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that was the whole thing. And my favorite thing about them at the time, which I thought was very clever, and even they didn't know they were doing it. What they were doing with their echoes, they were trading these echoes in stereo and with Pete playing guitar and Martin playing guitar, and they had these WEM copycats that were making echo sounds. But the rhythm that they were creating was sat right in the drum space, sat right where drums were supposed to go. They didn't know this because that was just their norm. They were just playing, yeah. But when I
Yeah.
heard it, I went, "Wow, that's sitting in where the drum space is." So to me, all I thought was if I could just move it aside and then slide into that space without changing them, yeah, we'd have something that was quite unique. I'm still here
Ah.
45 years later,
Yeah.
so it worked.
Well, was it because you couldn't say no to Tony Wilson because you just saw him
No,
on?
not to say no. I would have said no if I didn't like the guys or I didn't like it. No, I would have said no instantly. But again, because I'm one of those people that's very inquisitive, I wanted to go and find out what these people were about. And they were very, if you can imagine back in the day, they all wore D-Mob suits. They looked very stylish and very cool, actually. Poppy hair and you know, and smart clothes, but they didn't speak. And they were the original shoegazers. They never looked at you, never no eye contact, no nothing. Always
Really?
spoken into the chest. Yeah, but not in a bad sense. That's just how they were. Yeah, I never took it as they didn't like me or anything. It's just them as people. I'm a little different. I can get out there and go. I can put the
Yeah.
hind leg off a donkey if I need to. But they weren't that type of people. So I obviously they were the type of people that their music did all the talking for them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I would then just listen to what they're trying to interpret. We were kind of listening to the same things along the way. They were into Funkadelic and Cameo and some of the things I was into. So we had a
Yeah.
kind of relationship about what we were listening to as far as that kind of structure around funk and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
they were playing their own sort of industrial version of it, which I kind of liked as well because they weren't copyists in any way, shape, or form. Everything they did, they originated for
Yeah. Yeah.
themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
which again kept my interest going because again they didn't know it. It was just their thing. You know what I mean? It was just the way they did things,
It's
which
just
is how
that.
Shack Up came around. Because Shack Up just kind of fit as a sound that just suited a certain ratio anyway. Playing it, it didn't.
Yeah.
People still think it's our song, you know, and then
Well,
when they
I
find
was
out,
gonna
it's
say
not.
because that's
Yeah,
another sort of like surprise thing that I found out when
yeah,
I was doing the script. Because
yeah.
I found out last night that that's actually a cover, and
Yes, it's a cover song.
it's
Yeah,
the Bambara. It's the name
Bambara.
of
Yeah,
Bambara, and I'm
yeah.
like, no way.
Yeah. So again, it shows how much we've imprinted on that song as and for it to become kind of ours, but it's really theirs.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, Erica from America, she just wanted to say big love to the Dawn.
Okay.
Loving the interviews, she said. So, hello,
Thank you.
Erica. Hope you're feeling
Hello,
better.
Erica.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erica.
So, I also found out that a certain ratio single, the one that you mentioned, All Night Party, that was the
Yeah.
very first single, or you're the a certain ratio is the very first artist that was released by Factory Records. Because before that, I
Correct.
think they're all
It was a
like
sampler.
various
It's a
artists.
factory. Yeah, it was a sampler. That was the first original artist led record that was released on Factory Records. Yes.
Yeah, but you didn't drum on that one because you were so there were
No, which makes it.
at the time that they didn't have any drummer.
They didn't have a drummer, and it makes the record all the more classic. It's the only one without me on it.
Well,
Mm.
going back to Shack Up because it's actually next to I Won't Stop Loving You. That's my second most favorite record, Shack Up, and
Wow.
I was like
Okay.
really surprised last night.
Then it wasn't us.
I actually sort of like looked it up on YouTube as well. I
Mm.
mean, I prefer you.
You prefer our version?
prefer yours.
Maybe it's because you've heard our version lots. I mean, I remember hearing that version when I was a kid before I joined a certain ratio. My friend Leroy played me that song years and years ago, and I loved it. It was just weird how that turned into kind of the next thing that did with ratio, you know, and set the ratio thing off with me and them was Shack Up.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just a amazing song. And another one I mentioned, I Won't Stop Loving You. It was called the Big E, right? Because I've got a
Yes,
7 inch.
there was two versions of it, the Big E and Won't Stop Loving You. Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah,
7 inch, the original
yeah,
is the Big
yeah.
E,
Is
and
the
then
Big
the
E
12 inch is
is Won't
called
Stop
I
Loving
Won't
You.
Stop Loving You.
It's one of those. I can't remember. It's one way around. Yeah. You know, Rachel, like we just do things to confuse people.
What is it? What is the Big E?
The Big E is the big elbow, which means when you finish with your boyfriend or girlfriend or partner, and they get rid of you. It used to be called the Big E, the big elbow, getting rid of.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So that's why
Oh,
we call it Won't Stop Loving You because it still won't stop loving you even though you're gone.
oh my God!
Hmm.
I thought it was
Every
something
day's
to
a
do with.
school day for you, isn't it? Every day's a
Oh
school day, Anne. Yeah.
my God! I thought it was something to do with drugs or something.
No.
Like the Big E.
The Big E, no.
So when you're so like dumping someone, it's the Big
Yes,
E, the big
it's
oh
a northern term, man. It's a northern term. The Big E. It's a
oh
northern
wow.
term for the northwest. That's what they use as yeah. Back in the day, the Big E. Someone would say, "Oh, if you got the
Oh
Big
wow.
E, or he got the Big E, or you know, partner got the Big E."
Oh my God. That's
So
amazing.
yes, not about drugs, man. You need to calm down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Well, God. Well, so during your time in a certain ratio, of
Mhm.
course, I had to look your Discogs entry. You
Mhm.
were in a band called Quando Quango, which is like Mike Pickering's band.
Yeah, yeah. I was kind of a floating honorary member, if you like. It was really Mike and Connie's band, um, and I just helped produce it, help you know, help them kind of get a foothold in making some music. Me and Bernard Sumner used to do a lot of production work together back in the day, and it was kind of our way of learning how things work sound wise. but at the same time being able to help other people that we liked, by being that kind of rock and foundation for them in the studio, because they understood us and believed in us and believed in our vision about how we should get the thing done. We weren't dictatorial. Right, we're going to do it this way in a certain way. It wasn't like that at all ever. We always worked with the artist in whatever form, because it can be quite daunting going into the studio. The red light going on, and right, okay, let's be geniuses now. Thank you. First take, let's go. Everybody, whoa, whoa, all very frightening. So because
Yeah.
we've had the experience of doing that, we're able to calm them down, or record in a way that would help get the best out of them.
But that's always been so like, every member of a certain ratio, you help uh, so many, so like musicians and artists, and with Jazz and Martin.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing with Kalima. We used to lend Kalima all our gear. We used to, because the same things happen the other way around. If you look at Joy Division, New Order did the same thing with us. New Order lent us things when we needed things. New Order gave us, Joy Division. We played so many gigs with Joy Division. It was untrue back in the day,
Yeah,
um, and it wasn't. They never thought of themselves as being, higher or above us or anything. It was just, your friends that you played with, um, you know, you played together sort of thing. I can
yeah,
remember times when we'd actually have conversations about who's going on first. Not that they wanted to. We'd go because we'd work out where the gear was lined up and how it was set up. And that's how we'd work out who would go on first. So it was easier for them, not Joy Division headlining or anything. People can't grasp that now because they don't understand that Joy Division wasn't the the thing that it is now. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I mean Rod Gretton, all the guys in Jillian, everybody, they've helped loads of different musicians themselves. It's just one of those things that if you can do it, you do it. To
yeah.
help, yeah, to help move the needle. If musicians are not going to help each other, who's going to do it? Because I'm certainly sure
That's true.
there's a lot of sharks waiting for other people to take the bait.
But
Um,
would you say it's something to do with sort of like being a Manchester sort of like community? Because
um,
it's,
I,
it's a lot
I,
like,
no, I think it happens all over the place. I think it happens everywhere. I read different stories from it happening in New York back in the day. That's always happened. As far as Bristol, when the Bristol guys all were blowing up, that was the same thing. They were all in different bands with each other. They were all loaning each other equipment and everything. I think it happens all around the world. I don't think it's purely a Mancunian thing. What I think it is I think that most musicians kind of have an affinity for each other because they realize how difficult this is to kind of do on your own. And if there's something that can be helped and you can make it happen, so it might be something simple like, I don't know, borrowing an effect off someone, or someone
yeah.
lending you some extra leads to do something, or driving you somewhere, just something that helps. It's I mean, it happened in Manchester because also there was a musicians collective at Band on the Wall back in the day. Um,
Oh, right, yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, yeah. So there was quite a lot of things with a certain ratio, the Fall, Joy Division, all those kind of things. They were kind of in one place at the same time,
yeah, yeah,
um, doing their thing and helping others, with gigs. Because what you'd find back in those days, this is again before me, you would find, I don't know. Martin selling tickets on a Joy Division gig, because he's
all
helping
right,
out,
yeah,
that kind of thing. We've even done that. I remember going out to see Stinky Teeth a few years ago, and arriving at Stinky Teeth, and Martin was there selling the merchandise, because they're friends of ours. It's that kind of thing. That's what you do.
yeah, yeah. Where are they now, actually? Because I really like
They're-
them.
yeah, they're off doing solo projects
Oh,
currently. They're releasing solo efforts at the moment.
yeah, yeah,
They're doing very well,
yeah.
as individuals. Yep.
Well, as you know, originally from the Philippines, and I've got to say this because A Certain Ratio, I mean, like it's very Manchester. It's like a Manchester band, but correct me. Well, I'm sure my friends in the Philippines will correct me if I'm wrong. But in the Philippines, when I was a teenager, Manchester is like the Smiths, New Order, Joy Division. I mean, Oasis in the 90s as well. But A Certain Ratio, it was almost like, I think only people really, really into sort of like, not obscure, but sort of like really digging into music. They're the
Yeah.
ones who are only aware of A Certain Ratio.
Yeah,
And
because yeah, those. I mean, the guys you talked about, because they had hit records, everybody were all over them. Not just that, the great bands, the bands you mentioned, fantastic bands. You know what I mean? To highlight everything in Manchester, but it isn't just about New Order, the Smiths, Joy Division, that kind of thing. There's
yeah, yeah,
loads of other bands going on. Great
yeah,
bands that are around, like say the Distractions that no one talks about. The Distractions were an archetypal, fantastic pop band. They were great. I think they had
yeah.
more strings to their bow than pop, but they wrote great pop like XTC would write pop. They would write, they were equivalent to me in that range. But no one talked about them with any kind of reverence
Uh,
because all those other things were happening. But that's part of what happens, right? It's the same in anything. How many people are running around talking about certain popular films when there's lots of other films that are around that you could
really
you could
good.
watch,
Yeah,
but we only talk about a certain
yeah,
popular
yeah,
film that's out there. It's like anything. All I think the people you were talking about, they went out and found other music, and that's what we kind of like. Those people who found us, who knew that we were there, because we was always underneath that realm of artists that were doing very well. And remember, those artists were doing very well and shining, and they managed to get a light shone on Manchester as well, which was
yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we can't kind of back away from there. And I loved it all when all that kind of stuff was happening. But
yeah.
yeah, there's a lot more to it than just
Because
the
the thing
few
that
big names
fascinates,
that are there.
yeah, the thing that fascinates me, even the fall. I mean, I don't know if it was just me, but I'm sure that many of us in the Philippines, apart from when they played Creep, that was the only time that we actually got to hear the fall. But then I had Paul Hanley on the show, and I was saying to him there was actually quite a lot more to the fall than just Creep. So,
Absolutely, there was.
like all these
Absolutely, there was.
famous
Yep.
musicians who are like fans of the
Yep.
fall as
Yep.
well and everything.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
it's all like fascinating. For me, it's really interesting. Why is it that the like bands like A Certain Ratio and Fall? I mean, the Stone Roses reached us, and of course the Smiths and everything. I'm sort of like thinking maybe it's down to the people who are running the radio stations. That maybe it's really
Uh,
there. So like,
yes and no. Yes and no. Um, Most people are lazy. Okay. So what they do is they gravitate towards the nearest, easiest thing. So if the Stone Roses have just had a hit record, wow, Stone Roses. They won't look
yeah,
at the next three bands that are coming up from where the Stone Roses are. They'll just look at that because that's easy. That's easy to do. They're number 23 in the charts today, and we had the Stone Roses with Sally Cinnamon. Right? Boom. or whatever. I mixed two things up there. I've just realised. um, Probably, yeah. Am I getting an Oasis thing wrong with it? I don't know. Anyway, but the idea being is that they're. I find most radio stations and most journalists lazy. They don't want to. They didn't want to dig through things. Now, there's some people that subvert that. Um, and you mentioned one before, Dave Haslam. Yeah, Dave Haslam has always liked things that are mainstream and really brilliant, eclectic things at the same time. John
yeah,
Robb, another superb example of it. John Robb for me is one, along with Dave Haslam. Funny again, two Mancunian guys who are that what they find and how they describe things and how they find new things and how they keep talking about new things is brilliant. Yet they can, they can still love other things that are standard that everybody else loves, but they're always almost always fighting for the underdog or something new
Yeah,
to kind of
yeah,
happen, which I love, and then
yeah,
you watch them two now, and they've both done books that you would never kind of associate that they would be kind of famous for those books again on their own. You know what I mean? They've gone off on another little tangent, but they can still come back and do music. But again, the same thing. What I like about those guys is if we make a piece of music that they don't like, they'll say that that's not for them. They won't say it's crap or whatever. They'll just say that's not what they
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and that's equally as beneficial as them raving about saying that they kind of like it.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, but those
And then
two,
you
actually, yeah,
But then
they
you'll have
have.
you'll have you
I'm
you
sorry,
have guys like Mark Riley, who's on Six Music.
yeah,
His eclectic taste is fantastic as well. He can listen to, he'll listen to the sweet as well as listening to, say she or something. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
He's got
That's
great
right.
taste, and that what he's one of those guys. I mean, his program situation's changed now, but he's another one of those people that you kind of need in and around your life to kind of wake you up and show you, help guide you towards newer things as well.
Yeah. Well, when you mentioned Dave Haslam and John Robb, uh, I actually realized that they're not from Manchester.
Right? Yeah, but I mean, they're so associated
That's
here that we
all,
think of
yeah.
them as, yeah, they're okay. They're all right. They've got the passports. I've checked that everything's up to date. They are, yeah, no, they will be seen and talked about as Mancunians, even though we know, I think Dave's from Derby or somewhere in that
Well,
direction.
Dave
Like,
Haslam
anyway,
is from Birmingham, and
Birmingham.
John Robb I found out is from Blackpool. But they're
Oh,
all
well, near enough.
so like,
Near enough. They're within the 70-mile catchment area.
well, another song, like I don't know if this is a band or just maybe a one-off project, but ED 209 with Martin
ED
Moscow.
209. Yeah, with me, Martin, and Dave Rowe. Dave Rowe is a really good friend of ours. Dave is the manager of the Doves. He manages the Doves.
Oh, right. Oh,
And
wow.
ED 209 was something we did in a Certain Ratio Soundstation studio. What version of that is it? That was Soundstation 1, I think. Yeah, we're on Soundstation 3 at the moment. This is the third version
Oh,
of it. We kind of made that tune. We were experimenting with acid in terms of acid house. Don't go back to your drug thing. Okay.
not the biggie.
No, yeah. We were expecting with acid sounds on instruments. Nowhere else. Yes. There was no psilocybin involved at all. Again, we're kind of just curious. We had a studio. Dave was creating a label, DFM, which was actually called Done for Money. That's what DFM meant.
Oh,
And yeah, we kind of did that, put that tune out, and it became kind of a little bit of a cult classic, for helping sort of in its own small way help highlighting some things around acid house.
wow.
Yeah.
And anybody, so like, is there any other bands that you were involved in apart from those two, or so like that Discogs
Uh,
didn't pick up, or so?
there's too many for even me to remember. There's times when I just all the stuff me and Bernard used to do with all the production stuff we used to do. Me and Bernard um, used to pull those bands together. We used to help them. We used to play on them, or Bernard would program the synths for them, or program you know program elements of whatever needed to be put together there. And we're involved in all those, and we play on those records as well. There's not too many of them that we kind of credited for because that wasn't the idea. We didn't want it wasn't about us. It was about them. Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different people that I've been involved with over the years. A lot.
Well, your latest album, this one, 1982. That's amazing
Hmm.
album, by the way.
Okay.
And it's your 11th. It's your 11th album. It says on
Well,
Wikipedia.
I'm going to take your word for it. I don't count them. I just make them.
I was just all like listening to it. I listened to it this morning. And I was all like
Yeah.
thinking, um, do you know, especially in like in the Philippines, like for us, we actually saw like putting things whether it's new wave. I mean, new wave is massive still. It was massive when I was a teenager in the Philippines, and it's still massive. You know, we
Hmm.
still talk about new wave, but a certain ratio. It's sort of like sometimes I think it is very Manchester, but it's also not. It's almost like this. It's like this fiesta all the time. It's like world music, like festivals, not festivals, but carnival. Like
Yeah. I mean,
something
that
with the
it's
whistles
funny
and
because
everything.
certain people, Martin mentions, I can't remember, Martin Musgrove mentions the fact that certain ratio were world music before the term was even recognized. Yeah. Again, because of all our eclectic um, energies that we put into everything, with a certain ratio come about because of all our record collections. Our record collections are immense in terms of what we all listen to.
Yeah.
And all we ever do is listen to those things. They go in, we regurgitate them in whatever manner that sits in there, and then it comes out. I'll give you a perfect example. Before I joined a certain ratio, I was listening to Earth, Wind and Fire, and Earth, Wind and Fire's Gratitude album was one of my favorite albums. Just before certain ratio. Now, if you're very good at being able to listen and check out things, you'll hear a lot of the drum riffs that are in Earth, Wind and Fire, and from that album, what I call some of the good riffs, you'll find in a certain ratio stuff because that
Okay.
sat there for ages. That was my sampler. There's my sampler right there. Yeah, and it would
Yeah.
just right. I love that. Bang, file it, put it away, use it for, at some point, and then you know you would uh, you would then make these riffs and your version of these riffs when that kind of came along and its time was ready. That's all musicians have ever done. We've got 12 notes and an alphabet. That's it.
Wow. Well, so you wouldn't so like I know a lot of musicians don't like to be put in the like a label or a genre or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with a certain ratio it's a bit difficult to do that because it's very
It's very
funky.
difficult.
They were like yeah. It's,
And we like keeping it that way because when people ask us what is it, the only word I can use to describe a certain ratio that is accurate in any kind of level is eclectic.
yeah. Manchester
That
music? Maybe
No,
not
because you see,
really.
then
No.
yeah, because that would suggest I don't know, Happy Mondays, Oasis,
Yeah.
those kind of things. Where again, those two bands, great bands, but they're separate in that kind of thing, and we're not. We use some of that energy, but not that vibe. Do you understand what I mean? It's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
different.
it's very yeah. Not the
You know,
Manchester scene or so like
no.
not
Again, I kind of never bought into that because I can still see, I can see the difference between the Charlatans and the Smiths. I can see the difference between, um, the Chameleons and New Order. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, at
yeah.
some point, at some point, all those bands have played a form of rock music in some way, shape, or form that doesn't sound the same.
But I think if you're sort of like a new band and if you sort of like call yourself a Manchester band, that's already an advantage, don't you think? I mean,
Uh,
especially I
Uh,
mean
for, for
fans
me,
yeah,
I personally think I wouldn't, if I was starting today, I wouldn't call myself a Manchester band. But I'm talking about that having what's gone into there. I don't think it's an advantage. I don't think it's an
no?
advantage. Sometimes I think it could, yeah, I think it can be a bit of a hindrance because I think there's an expectation that people want you to be this again. It's like that whole thing of everybody, I didn't understand recently when what was that famous gig that the Stone Roses did that they recreated? You know how they recreated Spike Island again
But
somewhere?
yeah, but yeah, yeah.
Why? What was the reason? It was already done. It already happened. And all the people that went to that, why? Because they missed the first one. So do we do another one because all the other guys have missed that one as well? I don't get it. Uh, I, I'm one of those people that, okay, you know, we had David Bowie, yeah, and if you were lucky enough to be able to go and see him, to buy his records, to understand what the influence that he has and still has on music, you take
Yeah.
that. I don't want to see uh, a regurgitation of new Bowies all the time. I'm not interested in that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or no, because you've got to move on. You've got to move the needle. You've got to go to the next phase that makes it better. Take those elements and make them better. Of course, there's going to be people that are still influenced by Bowie and musically, writing wise, visually wise, all those kind of things. But they're going to turn it into something new. What I don't want them to do is to regurgitate, the Thin White Duke, or
And
I'm not
yeah,
interested in that because there's one guy that did it and did it the best.
yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I remember there was like a few years ago, Dave Haslam sort of like did this um not an interview, but it's like we have to look forward. Like Manchester has to sort of like look forward and not just think of the four major bands that came out
Yeah,
from Manchester all the time. But I was
yeah.
sort of like thinking, um, especially for us who are not really from Manchester, we're not originally
Mhm.
from Manchester, those were the ones that, you know, like when you think of these people, like you go to places like even in Manila, there are bars where they'll have like the Smiths or the Stone Roses or Oasis or like there, and that's what Manchester music is all about. But Dave Hassan was sort of like saying we've got to look for the new thing, you know, the next thing that will come out of Manchester. So,
Well,
um,
because it's always growing, isn't it? If you look at it, it's a thing that's always changing. Those bands you just mentioned, they weren't around when in the time of the Shadows and all those kind of things. There was a healthy Manchester scene with Manchester bands then, Manchester singers,
yeah,
Manchester performers, that whole thing. They're of their time. This is why I don't like the Manchester thing when it's said it's in and around that. And it's very difficult for us because we like our heritage, but we don't dwell on it. I'm very appreciative of my heritage and the things I could do and kind of. But what I'm not doing is recreating 1979 every time I go and do
yeah,
something somewhere else. I'm not doing that. I did 1979, and I'm kind of moving on. Even when you do hear us doing, like we're going out in November, and we're going to do something that's quite different for us. That's going to make us kind of think as well, which is we're doing a 45 tour to celebrate being together for 45 years. But what we're going to do is we're going to do all the songs that we've made in set order, and we're going to do in chronological order. Sorry. So we're going to go from All Night Party to,
oh,
to
yeah.
current day, and we're going to just choose from the catalogue. But what we're going to do, we're going to do two sets. We're going to do one set of half an hour, 40 minutes, and then another set that's a bit longer. So effectively, what we're doing is supporting ourselves,
Oh,
so that people can see this transition. The idea is so you can see how we've grown and what we've changed and how we've done things differently. It's not.
yeah.
This is going to happen this once, but it won't. I can't see it happening again because we won't be around for another 45 years. So um, I would
Yeah.
enjoy this one as much as you can get it. So the idea for us was, which is good really, because it's going to do a couple of things. Like for instance, All Night Party that we mentioned. I kind of like the idea that they play All Night Party without me, which is something we're talking about at the moment. I'm probably giving stuff away here to you, but wouldn't it be great to see a certain ratio again at a gig without a drummer playing the first song that they ever did? Then the second song they did, which included the drummer, you then see where the development is from there. And the third song with the drummer and everybody together, bang, 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 and you just keep going from that point.
Wow.
And then you see the change of when Simon left and Pete left, and We had, other members come in and these other songs that are
Yeah.
rolling around. That's the idea of it. It's not to be um, super nostalgic about everything. It's just to show people how we've
But you've been
evolved.
together. Yeah, you've been together all
Yeah,
those years. Yeah.
yeah. And we're
Yeah.
kind of just gonna. We're. It looks at the moment. It looks like we're only going to be doing it in that November.
Oh wow.
We, yeah, that's only going to happen um,
And
then.
it's gonna
And
be it's a tour, isn't it? Not just in
yeah, it's a
Manchester.
tour. Yeah, it's a tour. But
Yeah.
what we've done as well, we've purposely created small venues, so we kind of go back to the going back a little bit to what we used to have, in that and it being a bit eclectic in that kind of manner, so that
Yeah.
it feels kind of you know, earthy, if you like, yeah. And plus, it's a big help to the smaller venues as well, that
Yeah. Yeah.
you
That's
can
right.
put
Yeah.
something in there that's kind of different because the tour that's going to happen the year after uh, won't be won't be kind of those venues. We're just hoping that we do something that's special for everybody to come and see. It's it's like I say, it's a one-off because
Yeah.
I know what we're going to be doing in 2024 because already, believe it or not, and we've got a another album ready to go.
It's fantastic. That
Yeah.
is so good. So
Uh,
tickets are now available to
Tickets are now available for the November, yeah, for the
yeah,
whole
November
November
tour.
tour. Starts
Yeah.
November 10th, and it will end December 10th.
So you're gonna
So
have Simon and Peter joining at some point as well, or
we
maybe not?
don't know yet.
You don't know yet.
We don't know. Even we don't know. Honestly, I'm being serious here. We don't know yet. That could be an option. I really don't know. Really
Well,
don't know.
current lineup actually, yeah, amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
Ellen Abbey, she's
yeah.
fantastic. I'm actually gonna go and see her. I think it's on Wednesday or no, not
Yes,
Wednesday, Friday.
something like that.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
yeah.
she's always
That's
doing
the
gigs all over.
that's the soup kitchen, right? But it's now
Soup
called soup.
Kitchen, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah. She's
yeah.
playing there.
Yeah,
She's
she's
fantastic.
amazing.
She's like this whirlwind of everything. You know what I mean? It's like wow, comes in the room and it's like whoa, all this energy. Whoa, calm down. No, I mean in a good way. I mean in a really good way. Because she's a lot younger than us, so she's still like whoa, at the whole
So
thing. But she's
you're also full of energy. So it's like you and Ellen together will be like, oh,
Oh, I know. We've had to, yeah, we've had to. I've had to cap my energy levels. They will not match hers. She'll outdo me every day. But yeah, that's a great new. That's a great new addition to what we do. I mean, Alan, and also we've got Viv Griffin, who's a female bass player
yeah, yeah.
whose family originate from the Philippines. One half of the family originate from the Philippines.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I didn't. I thought she
Yeah.
was Chinese. I didn't realize she's actually from.
Mm,
Oh wow!
see?
I didn't know. Oh wow! It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah.
Again, and again, just to highlight something. I mean, look at the inference that we've put on that side of the band as well to have a female perspective on things than a male
Yeah.
perspective, if you like.
Yeah.
That's doing us really well. So again, just to
Oh,
do something that's different, finding people that are talented and can do what they do, doing their own do,
yeah.
if you like.
Oh no, she's amazing. But the last time I
Yeah.
saw you at New Century Hall, I didn't see
Yeah.
her come out. I think she was just so like I don't know, she left or something. But I had a photograph with all the other members of a certain race, apart from Jessica
Oh,
as well.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Jessica wasn't there. So, but next time I see you, I'm definitely gonna make sure that so like ask her about her
Okay.
Philippines.
Yeah. 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 Ask. Yeah.
No, you go to a lot of gigs because I have
Mm-hmm.
seen you in so like Stockport at Basque all the time. So I know that you support a lot of so like musicians as well and things. But when you go to a gig and you like if it's in a band, like a band, do you look at the drummer and you sort of like think, hmm. Do you think I could I could get something from this drummer, or we already sort of like know what they're
I
doing. Yes.
I always learn something from everyone. I don't care how good or bad they are in other people's eyes. I always learn something from them. When I go to a gig, I think like most people, it depends on the size of the gig. The first thing you always look at is the drum kit because it's central. I think just because it's central. I remember, but here's something different. I remember the first time I saw the Smiths. If we're going back and reminiscing, I saw the Smiths at the Hacienda, and I
Yeah.
remember looking through the. I was backstage and looking through the DJ booth, and I remember just looking at Johnny Marr playing the guitar. I didn't know Johnny then; we weren't friends then. And I was just looking at this guy playing the guitar, and I was going, "How can such small hands make such big chords? You know, make such a big noise?" And then I remember looking at Mike and going, "Wow, he's so together with him." And then Andy, and then I was just like, going around. I spent a little time on each song, looking through everything, and then I kind
Yeah.
of got it. And then years and years later, I'm friends with those guys. You know what I mean? I'm good mates with them. Still pretty
Yeah.
good mates with Johnny and Mike and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just nice that I'm looking at a gig, but I'm looking at the guitarist first, then the drummer. And it
Oh.
works any which way. Yeah, then I might be looking at the bass player, and then it's something else, or taking the vocalist and then looking at the drum. I don't automatically go and look at the drummer, and I don't do a critique on them, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent to me or whatever. It's a different kind of style. It's a different element of things, which is why, and I think you know this for sure because I'm good mates with Mike. That I'm quite good friends with lots of the drummers in all the bands in Manchester. We're all we're all good mates because we don't. It's not a challenge. I'm not looking at Funky Side's not looking at me going, oh, I'm better than him at doing this, or he's better than me doing that. And people say, who's the best drummer in Manchester, right? And my answer always is, well, when I'm being me, that can be me. If I try to be Mike Joyce, I'm never going to make it. Mike Joyce is always going to be the best. If it's Paul Kehoe, doing what he does. If it's you
Yeah.
know any of the other guys, they're all great because we don't have this element of trying to outdo each other and trying to be better in each other because we play different styles, we play different music. We might
Yeah.
listen to some of the same music, but our interpretation is always different. And me and Steve have been mates for forever from New Order and stuff like that, along with Mike and
Mike Joyce.
say
Yeah.
Paul Keogh
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, and you've seen us a
Yeah.
few times, haven't you? Out together.
But when you're all together, like all drummers, so like in one room, there's a really
Mhm.
nice photo by Paul Husband of you
Yeah,
and Mike Joyce and Stephen Morris.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you talk about drums or do you talk about styles? Or
No, you know what? When me and Mike, when we're on the phone, me and Mike can we can just we can go nuts and we can talk rhythms for ages. But it's kind of when the drums get together, it's different stories. Like that Paul Husband picture you've mentioned is the perfect example of a perfect day for me, of meeting those guys and us just trading stories. And that moment of where I'm laughing and you see that was me for a whole day. They were making me cry all day, telling the stories the way that they tell the stories. And it's just fun being around them. It's just so good being around them because, like I say, it's not. There's no controversy in wanting to be better. We acknowledge the good things in each other. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? The
yeah,
fact that
yeah,
I know for a fact, I know for a stone cold solid fact that um, Steve Morris has more stamina than I can ever find. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I don't know where he gets it from, but he is. He's a lot smaller than me and everything, but you switch him on and those Duracell batteries are not wearing out anytime soon. Do you know what I mean? And and I love that because I go, where does he get that energy from? How can he go? You know what I mean? How can he do
yeah,
all that? I've watched him for years doing all these complicated drum rolls, really fast hi-hat things and whatever, and he's just so on it. the same thing. Same when I look at Mike. I watch old videos of Mike at different times, and I see him do something like crash with his left hand. That's a big thing with drummers, to be ambidextrous. But normally when
Yeah.
you roll, you're da 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 da. Da. See, it
Yeah.
looks left on the screen, but that's my right. Yeah.
That's a,
Well, sometimes Mike's done things and he's crashed with his left. I'm like, oh, look at you back in the Smiths. You're playing with your left hand like you're some kind of big time Charlie could say so. And then what do? Instantly go out and start practicing to do crashes with my left hand like we should be doing.
oh, well, oh wow. So, like, it would be nice to like a fly on the wall when you're all together, like the three of you
Oh,
together, just talking
it's
as well.
it's such good fun. I mean, Paul, I think I'm not seeing the rushes from that photo session, but he captured the moment brilliantly and just he was the same. He was just sat there listening to the story, going, "Wow, you guys just with the story." And it's not people trying to outdo each other. We're just saying funny moments in our lives
Yeah,
that we've had when we were in certain places. Oh, they were making me
yeah,
cry. I was in rivers of tears. But again, I love those guys. If I would the same people I'm talking to you about, I would pay money to go and see. Do you know what I mean? Because I like their playing. I like the thing that they're involved with that much. I would go to see them.
so
You
how did
know,
that come about though? Is it just Paul husband asking the three of you, or
yeah,
was there ever
yeah.
like a talk that all three of you were there, or
No, no.
how?
Paul just arranged it. Paul was arranging the session because that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to capture,
Oh, I see.
just the three of us. He knew we were all friends,
Yeah,
so he knew
yeah,
that straight away. There was no, his big deal was the location that he kind of wanted to use and everything. That was his thing. He managed to get that, and then it just put us in a room and we do what we need to do. It didn't take long. It was just clicking away
yeah.
and capturing the moment as it kind of happened live. I wish we'd have
I think it
recorded
would
it
be
now.
so
You
like
have seen how funny it was.
I think it would be good if, say, Dave Haslam or John Robb will actually have an evening with the three drummers, like the
Oh,
three of you. So like that would be.
you may be on to something there. Yeah, you may be onto something there. I'm definitely in.
Yeah, I
I'm
think that
I'm
would be
definitely in.
absolutely amazing to sort of like
Yeah,
do something like that. But
yeah. I mean, again, we it's all kinds of things. It's like, for instance, I've got this thing with kind of hold on, with electronic drums. There's a little kit here that I'm doing, and Paul Keogh, who plays with Hooky, he's got all that gear. The same with Steve. Steve, you know, those are the guys you would ask about this stuff. I'm looking at this. What would be the best way to approach this? How to do this? I go to those guys to go and find out, what that is. I do my research, but then I go, who are the best guys in town that have got hold of this gear that I'm looking at? And you got to
yeah,
go and talk to them. It's not a thing for me. So me and Paul have been trying to arrange for a little while now a get together. And I keep saying to him, that Hookie's got you on the road too much. You get some time off so we can get together and do stuff. So that's what I'm saying. That's how friendly it is between all of us.
oh, sorry about that. That's all.
Oh,
We're not near the main road, so I could get to
okay, all right.
it. Yeah, I'm hoping that someday that would happen. So, like a drummer
Oh,
special or something, that would be
that
really
sounds
cool.
great. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
But anyways, I know it's after 3 o'clock, but I've still got like the regular questions that I ask every guest. The first one
Hmm.
is, I don't think I've seen you twirl. Do you
Well,
twirl when with this
oh,
with this
I
thing?
mean, have I got any? I'm trying to look. Have I got any sticks? I'm trying. Sorry, I think I've moved all my. Have I got my stick bag? Where is it? Oh, I don't know. I can twirl if I need to. Oh, there it is. Hold on. Here you go. Right. So you mean twirling?
Yeah, when
Oh, I've
you
got to do it from there. Yeah.
do
Is
you
that
do
good
that when
enough?
you're playing? When you're
No. No. I play drums. I don't do tricks. No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
no, never, not
Never,
even.
ever. Not even once. No.
Is that
No.
some sort of like something that maybe there is a special moment in a song where
Uh,
you will do this and then boom. So,
no. The most special moment in song should be silence.
right.
They're the special moments. No, I don't. Like I say, I don't do tricks. I just play the drums. No,
Okay.
I know how to do it, but I don't
Yeah.
do it. It's not a part of no.
Okay. Well, Dennis Brown, who's in Liverpool, he just sort of like laughs at when I ask, "Do you twirl?" Because I always sort of like every time I see a drummer and they twirl, like I just thought, "Oh wow, that's amazing."
Uh, well, all it is holding the sticks. Is trying to hold it. Let's see if I can give you a short. Hold on. Where is it? Where did it go? There it go. Right. All you're doing is holding it. Some hold it different. I've got to do the camera the opposite. Sorry, the opposite way. Can you see there? So
Yeah, yeah.
basically, it's just in there, and all it's doing is rolling around. So you feel where that is, and it's literally just that. And all the guys that have got it off can go, oh, hey, and
Oh,
start
yeah.
playing, hey, yeah, oh, hey. Yeah, but it's a trick. Smoke and mirrors. Yeah.
Well, okay, well, the next question is drumming heroes.
Oh, there's too many. Wow.
Too many.
I'll give you two. Um, well, I learn from someone every day. So, David Garibaldi, who plays with Tower of Power,
Oh.
and I'll have to give you three actually. Lenny White, who played with Return to Forever, and Billy Cobham, who played with everybody.
Oh yeah. I think of the three, only Billy Cobham is the one that I know. The other two, I've got to look them up.
Right. Yep. Yep.
um, well, you mentioned that you've been with a certain race has been together for 45 years, and you've been playing drums since you were 12. Have you ever had any disasters or drumming accidents?
Oh
Well,
yeah, I've had lots. Oh, did you see Rick Astley on when he did
with
Glastonbury
Blossom,
recently?
with oh
Glastonbury.
yeah, with Blossoms,
Yes.
they're doing
Did you?
yeah
Did you?
doing the
Well, the,
steps.
the accident that he had, where he had his pants were bigger than normal, and you get the bass drum getting caught in your trousers because his trousers were bigger. I've had that before today. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I used to play shorts years ago, so that didn't happen, and also because
Oh,
it was really hot. It was really hot on stage, but that at the same time, and I don't wear pants ever that are that wide like that can get the it trapped. Of course, I've dropped sticks. I've gone out of time. I've had it where I'm years and years ago. I'm playing away, and I'm watching someone else in the audience dance a bit like Bez, and what? And I'm going all off time with them, not focusing on what I'm. Oh no, I'm supposed to be doing this. So I have moments like everybody else. Yeah, sticks drop, missed timing of this. I get. The biggest one I had was I can show you actually in New York years and years ago. I was playing, so as you can see, I'm trying to get stick. I'm playing away. I'm getting into everything, and the stick. You see how close it is to my face, right? It got caught inside my glasses like
oh
that.
no.
And my glasses came on one of the beats. My glasses came off. That was a moment. I've never done that again ever in my life, but that was one of the freakiest moments ever, where the stick goes in there and comes out.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, that was probably my biggest catastrophe ever.
No blood, no blood though.
No
You did.
blood, no blood, no blood, no blood, no.
Oh my god. Well, I want to say hello to Boying Reyes. Boying is one of the legendary drummers in Manila. He's really good.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, Boying. Yeah, because another one that I would always ask the drummers that guest on the show is advice to. But before you answer that, I remember so like Stephen Morris said, you've got to have a good pair of shoes, which is that's his advice. So, what
Is
is
it?
your?
I think I go back to what we first said. I think you need to anything you're going to do, anything you need to fall in love with it, and then become obsessed with it. That's the only way to get inside it, to find what it does, to get good, to move the needle, to be creative. You have to fall in love with it. You can't
Yeah.
just want to do it. You've got to fall in love with wanting to do it. And then when it's there, it's like when I was a kid, I rehearsed 8 hours a day every day, right? Because I could. I can't do that now because as an adult, you've got lots more responsibilities. But as a kid, I didn't have those responsibilities. Not that I knew it then, but I just put put into
Practice,
time
yeah.
in, time in, time in, time in to get it right. And they say it takes 10,000 hours, to be accomplished at anything, and that's a long time when you're starting off from stage one. So I'd say, yes, definitely fall in love with it and then get obsessed with it. And that's how you're going to be good at anything, whether it's writing books, whether it's designing speakers, whether it's, you know, laying carpet, whether it's wiring drum kits. I don't know. Just fall in love with it.
Yeah. And your house must be so like, is it what do you call it, soundproof? If you were practicing
Uh,
like 8 hours a day, what would the neighbors, what would
back
the
in those days, no, I had to do it. Yeah, well, what I had to do back in those days, I had to use a blanket on the drum kit. I'd put a blanket on the drum kit, and I'd have a clothes peg with a piece of felt on the cymbals, so that the cymbals didn't make a noise, and the drum kit
oh,
was sounded like it was muffled.
oh, I see. Because it was like
Yeah,
it must have been so like
yeah,
really hard on your neighbors. So like,
yeah. I couldn't make loads of noise, no. So yeah, that's how I did it. I just ended up putting those things over it, putting a blanket over the kit and playing, so that the drum head wouldn't resonate, and a piece of felt with a close peg on the
yeah,
cymbal, so that you could get the actual feel of the cymbal, but it didn't go. It just
yeah.
went, really short sound, but you got the feeling of hitting the cymbal.
That's amazing. Oh my god, you're very sort of like motivated and focused and to everything,
Well,
even when you were a kid. And
because back in those days, and I still think it's the same now for a lot of people. Well, no, because now you've got the internet, you've got lots of other advantages. But
yeah,
back in those days, the thing that you were good at, you could go and do. I was lucky enough to be good at sport and music, so I knew it was going to be a choice of either of those. For years, I was a sports coach, a multi-sports coach that used to train young people, and in and around multi-sports and basketball. I love basketball as well, so I was able to be inspiring as a coach doing that, and also being able to do music. But where I was from, you did music or sport to move
yeah,
yourself along, to get out of there, so to
yeah.
speak. So
Well,
you have
basketball.
you have to be focused in the sense that once you've left school or university or wherever you've left a teaching environment, and you now have to go into the real world to 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 make yourself known,
Yeah,
you're going to have to do that because no one's going to do that for you. And back in those days, I was very aware that if I take on this skill set, I'll be able to use it a lot later on in life, being able to do some of the things I want to do. And that was easy for me because what was behind me, nothingness, a whole world of nothingness, and what was in front of me, everything,
yep, yeah. That's
So
yeah,
yeah, so
true.
yeah,
Yeah,
I decided to go in that direction, not go back in be in the pub with my mates talking about shoulda, woulda, couldas, that kind of thing. No, you just
yeah,
you went out and did it. There's lots of those guys around, they're doing all right. They're great family men, but they didn't end up doing the thing that they
you
wanted to
can do
do,
it.
and
Yeah,
they're still talking about it.
yeah.
I wasn't at 21. I was, 21, 22. We were in America making an album. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
X years ago, 8 years previous to that, I hadn't picked up sticks or met these guys or whatever, but because of a focused vision and having
yeah.
people around you like Rob, Tony, and Alan Erasmus, having those people around you that's super focused on wanting it to work for you and around you within those confines. That's how those things got done. When
Yeah.
you look, the famous story of Johnny and how he knocked on Morris's door, for them to hook up. He knew. If you imagine if Johnny was the one of the guys, oh, I don't know, should I knock on the door? I'm not sure. Would the Smiths have happened? You can't have
Yeah.
that. He knew what, he's another focused guy that I really love because he knows what he wants and he knows what it takes to go and get it.
Yeah.
And he puts in the work. It's like now, everybody's raving about the Smiths, Johnny doing whatever. Go back to Johnny Marr starting this band that he's got. Johnny Marr went out and worked his butt off, right, to get his things right. He just played
Yeah.
loads of gigs, worked on his voice, worked on worked with the band to pull everything together. The last 3 or 4 years, we're starting to see that all pay off for him again. In
Yeah.
he didn't rely on his Smiths thing or the fact he's in the Pretenders or or whatever. He didn't do any of that shit. He just went out and went to work. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
I've got
Yeah.
to go out
Yeah.
and gig with my band, with my music, doing this whole new start. Look where he is today. He's on stage with the Killers. We've seen great videos of him with our mate Tim from the Charlatans. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm happy when I see things like that because I know what it took. I don't see the pop star. I see, Johnny Marr, the guy,
Your
working and how he's
friend.
worked to get how our
Yeah.
friends work to get where he's got, and I'm impressed with that. And all that does is make me do the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, I was just sort of like looking at what's behind you there. They're absolutely amazing. They're gorgeous. Are
Oh,
those lights?
just-
Are these like lights?
yeah. Hold on. Let's see if I can see if the batteries are still working. Hold on. Where is it? Is it there? No, the batteries are not
No.
working in that one. Well, that reminds me to change them. Hold on. They may need. I think they might all need changing. Is that one? There's one.
Oh,
Is that
wow.
one?
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because when you were saying that behind me there's nothing, I was sort of like, oh, there's actually those two.
Well, what's weird about the things you see on the wall there? When I was a kid, before even wanting to play drums of any description, those characters there were the comics I used to read and get into the fantasy of their world. Yeah, and I used to read avidly, Superman,
Oh,
Batman, Iron
yeah.
Man, all those comics from the 60s. And I've been a big fan of all those for years and years because there's a lot of things in there that they taught me as well about tenacity, because everything in those comics is all about breaking through. Someone doesn't want something, but you make it happen. Peter Parker gets bitten by the
Spider.
spider. He's now Spider-Man. He doesn't really want to be Spider-Man, but what does he do with this talent? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Superman comes to Earth, has to behave himself because he realizes he's a superhuman. He could kill anybody with the smallest of things. Iron Man invents something where he's just a man, but inside this costume he can become more. It's all. I'm not saying I run around all the time thinking about those things, but obviously they infused inside you in that world to be able to go and make things
Yeah.
happen in your own kind of world. So I'm a big fan of those things.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, do you want to invite them to your November tour? Like the
Who?
viewers? Well,
The viewers?
viewers in the UK, not in Manila though, because I don't think the fans in the
Well,
Philippines
listen,
will never
all
know.
the certain ratio stuff online. Just go online to certainratio.com and you'll see all the dates lined up for the
For
November
November.
tour. Yeah, we've got some dates in Paris and Brussels as well.
Have you ever been
And
to the
yeah,
Philippines though? Have
no,
you ever played? Oh,
no, I've never been. My smaller brother, my little brother Derek, he's been to the Philippines quite a few times.
oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, he's played David Swingart's sister a few times.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because that's another band. That's another Manchester band that we love in the Philippines. Swing Out
yeah,
Sister. Oh, yeah, they're
yeah,
amazing. I think they're still going,
yeah.
aren't they? But I think they're in
Yes, they're
Japan.
still around. Yeah, yeah, they're still around. Yeah, very much so.
Well, I've got to say, before I forget, that I've got to say thank you to your brother as well for buying you a drum kit.
Yes,
It's
he's the
amazing.
catalyst. Yeah, he's the big catalyst. And again, when people talk about heroes, my heroes are my brothers. because those are the guys that pulled everything together for me. The fact that Keith thought that I should be a drummer, he saw it before I even knew that it existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that when playing bass, my middle brother Barry, he gives me some great advice, along with Derek, about being able to play bass and help with sounds and different kinds of things. Those are my heroes. I have guys that I look up to, but my real heroes in any musical shape or form is always my brothers.
That's brilliant. You should have the Johnson brothers. So at one
No,
point,
no, there's
get
enough of us to share around. We're sharing enough of us around with you guys, so that everybody gets a little piece of the pie. So yeah,
Well, thank you so much, Dojo. I really
thank
enjoyed
you
it. And I've
so
learned so
much.
much from you as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And hope to see you soon. And I'm sure I'll
Yes,
see you in Stockport someday.
you will do. You will
All
do.
right. Thank
Never
you.
far away.
Yeah.
Thank you
And
very much.
enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care all.
Okay.
All right. Thank
Okay. And
you.
you. Bye
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Oh my God. That was so amazing. Thank you all so much for joining us live. I really enjoyed that. He's so incredible. Like, oh my God, Donald Johnson, the best. And he's from Manchester, and I think he lives somewhere near me now as well in Stockport. So I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him again. Absolutely amazing. But anyways, thank you all so much. I really love not I really love September. It's my favorite month of the year, and the first guest this month, Donald Johnson. You've seen him, absolutely amazing. So keep an eye out for my next guest next Sunday. Um, Keep an eye out for the guest announcement post. I will also do it sometime next week, tomorrow or Tuesday. But yeah, for now, enjoy the rest of your weekend. And thank you all so much once again, and hope to see you soon. Take care always. Bye for now. Oh, love music, love life. I've got before I forget, that's like the things that I always want to say. Love music, love life, love drummers. They're absolutely amazing. Oh, I love you, Donald Johnson. Thank you so much. And see you all again next week. Bye for now. Bye. Bye.